Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the main news on Camnet TV. Here are the headlines in our news tonight. The Patriotic Front accuses government of not paying private auditors. NKOMBO implores the church to refuse to be patronized by politicians. State House justifies President HICHILEMA'S absence during the National Day of Prayer. In international news, analysts criticize additional Chinese loans for Kenya. And in sports news, no replay for games abandoned in terror alert, says UEFA. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Do join me with the details shortly.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
And now the news in detail. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, NKOMBO, has implored the church not to agree to be patronized by politicians. Speaking when he officiated at the second National Prayer Breakfast meeting in Lusaka Thursday, Mr. NKOMBO says the church has a special role to play in governance through the provision of spiritual guidance. He says the church must stand far from partisan politics and give wise counsel to politicians, whom he said sometimes get corrupted with power. Meanwhile, Second Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Attractor Chisangano, says they are in the process of establishing a parliamentary Christian caucus. She assures that the prayer breakfast is key to bringing together different political parties in seeking unity, integrity, and servant leadership in the country.
After Zambia commemorated the National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Repentance and Reconciliation, which falls on the 18th of October, Thursday 19th October 2023, stakeholders converged for the National Prayer Breakfast meeting. The event draws its origin from the United States of America, and Kenya has been among other countries holding the activity, and Zambia has followed suit with the year 2023 marking the second commemoration. The event brought together stakeholders from the three arms of government, being the executive, legislature, and the judiciary, as well as the church, defense wings, and the general citizenry. Officiating the event, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, NKOMBO, has implored the church not to agree to be patronized by politicians. He says the church must not relent in providing wise counsel to politicians and must position itself towards building strong institutions and achieving a corruption-free society.
So we have a duty as a collective to regulate one another. And because I'm brutally frank sometimes, we should also accept that the clergy have also had their fair share of mistakes when they accept to be patronized by politicians. They must always stand above us politicians. This country, thank you very much. The clergy, the church must always stand high above on the pedestal, above us politicians, just like the chiefs. But you normally fall prey because of patronage, and never agree to be patronized by us politicians.
Meanwhile, Second Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Attractor Chisangano, says they are in the process of establishing a parliamentary Christian caucus.
The Parliamentary Christian Caucus will also spearhead the annual National Prayer Breakfast event that we hope will become a part of the national calendar regardless of the party in power, with the Republican president in attendance. It is also our express desire to bring together leaders from the three wings of government, as well as leaders from private sector, business and the marketplace to pray together, fellowship, reflect, discuss, and dialogue around a leadership topic of interest at the time in the country, and so to promote unity integrity, and servant leadership in our country.
A national prayer breakfast organizing committee chairperson Dr. Lutangulubasi says successive governments have demonstrated commitment to lead the country based on Christian principles.
My challenge to you, brothers and sisters, and indeed leaders, what is the point if we educated our people and they became brilliant, but there were still thieves and corrupt people and they're stealing and plundering the economy? I believe that Christian values are very important for our nation. And therefore, this National Prayer Breakfast, much like the Day of Prayer, is a vital component of us instilling Christian values in this nation that we've called a Christian nation.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Lunte Member of Parliament Mutotwa Kafwaya has challenged the government to clear the air on allegations that the Zambia National Service ZNS is importing 10 metric tons of mealie from South Africa, which could be genetically modified organisms, MGOs, for local sales. Speaking during a press conference on Thursday, Mr. Kafwaya has also labeled the sale of mealie by ZNS as a poor solution to the country's higher commodity prices. Meanwhile, Chinsali Member of Parliament Kalaliwe Mukosa has urged Minister of Finance and National Planning Stumbeko Msokotwane to scrap the proposed person-to-person mobile money transfer tax increase. Mr. Mukosa has charged that the government is giving unjustified tax incentives to the mining sector while penalizing Zambians through the increase of person-to-person mobile money tax charges.
The Patriotic Front PF Finance Committee has challenged Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, to abandon the proposed increase of person-to-person mobile money transfer levy. In the 2024 national budget, government has proposed to introduce a levy of between 8 ngwe and 1/4 ngwe on the transaction value for person-to-person mobile money transfers. Speaking during a press conference Thursday morning, Chinsali Member of Parliament Kalaliwe Mukosa says the proposed move is detrimental to Zambians.
Is because most of the mobile money transactions are done by those people who do not have bank accounts. Usually it's those who are underprivileged and the poor. Of course, even those who are above, they do use mobile money, but they do not use mobile money transactions as compared to those who are in a lower bracket.
Meanwhile, Lunte Member of Parliament Mutotwa Kafwaya has questioned the authenticity of the 2022 Auditor General's report, which established no audit queries in the year under review.
Is the period when there are cancellations upon cancellations of fertilizer, procurement processes. The Auditor General cannot find anything, and no key audit issue. If you remember those illegal audit reports which were contracted by the Minister of Finance, government is now failing to pay some of those people. Why? Because government is demanding that they remove some information from the audit reports. Government is uncomfortable that the issues of FISIP, particularly to do with those contracts, to do with the jangulos and so on, should not be in the audit findings.
Mr. Kafwaya has also challenged government to put to rest allegations that it is importing suspected GMO mealie from South Africa.
Government must come good and tell the Zambian people whether they have entered into a contract to import 10 million metric tons of mealie from South Africa, which could be GMO.
For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Governance expert Wesley Mianda has charged that the more former President Edgar Lungu insists on rejoining politics, the more confusion and disunity he will trigger in the country. Mr. Mianda adds individuals supporting the idea of Mr. Lungu's comeback into active politics are being insecure and unfair to the former head of state. He claims the main intention of such individuals is to continue abusing him and his resources to secure their own political and social interests. The debate surrounding former President Lungu's return to active politics continues, with the former head of state pondering on the possibility as quoted when he was questioned recently.
Political figures supporting the idea of Mr. Lungu's coming back into active politics are being insincere and unfair to the man. Their main intention is to continue abusing him and his resources to secure their own political and social interests. We still have a lot of men and women in PF who can make good leaders, but unfortunately, they know their own incapabilities and feel vulnerable and insecure without the former president. Zambia has no historical background of bringing back former ruling parties into power unless otherwise. So we see no candid reason of singing Alebwele Lapo when we need to move forward with youthful, more visionary and fresh-minded leaders.
State House has regarded alleged insinuations that Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema shunned from observing the National Day of Prayer, Fasting and Reconciliation on Wednesday, 18th October 2023. State House Chief Communications Officer Clayson Hamasaka says it is not constitutionally designed for a sitting head of state to be in attendance physically while observing the day. Mr. Hamasaka further clarifies that President Hichilema acknowledges the significance of the day and observes it with his family members and friends. The State House Chief Communications Specialist, however, believes that the National Day of Prayer should not be used as a tool to measure citizens' personal relationship with God. The Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research, ZIPA, has cautioned the government not to give too many tax incentives to investors, as this reduces the government's ability to collect enough revenue to finance the national budget. In an interview with Camnet News, ZIPA Executive Director Henrik Mpuku says investors who come to Zambia are attracted to the business environment in which their investment will be placed and not tax incentives. Dr. Mpuku says the government has proposed to finance 60% of the 2024 national budget from the domestic market and has wondered how this will be attained if multilateral companies who are supposed to pay the taxes are exempted. Meanwhile, ZIPA has also advised the government to stop interfering in the pricing of mealie meal, adding that such moves have a negative impact on the economy.
In a quest for Zambia to stop depending so much on revenue from outside to finance its national budget, the Zambian government, through the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Sitombeko Msokotwane, has proposed to finance over 80% of its budget through domestic revenue mobilization, which entails that resources to finance the 177.9 billion kwacha 2024 national budget will be raised from the local market. The Zambia Institute of Policy Analysis and Research ZIPA Executive Director Dr. Henrik Mpuku has however cautioned government not to continue giving too much tax incentives to investors, which he says has been limiting government's ability to raise the resources needed to finance the national budget.
We have to be cautious in terms of the incentives that we give to potential investors. Now, when investors come into this country, they come for a particular business proposition. Like if they are coming to mine, they've identified the mineral resource which they want to mine. If they found appropriate climatic conditions, they know certain crops can grow there. They want to exploit that potential. So there's a fundamental business proposition which they're following. They are not coming here for incentives. The incentives are more like an icing in the cake. So we have to be cautious in terms of the incentives that we give so that we avoid a significant loss of revenue. The question is, the incentives we give out, are they generating the intended effect?
And commenting on the current millie meal saga, in which government has stepped into the market to offload cheap millie meal to the public to cushion the escalating price of the staple food, Dr. Mpoko says such moves by government have the potential to destabilize the market, but has instead advised government to diversify the agriculture sector and allow the market forces to control the pricing.
Up on your production, strengthen the agricultural production system, diversify your agricultural output. Don't just focus on maize, cassava, millet, and there are markets within the country, there are also markets outside the country. And then strengthen the market. Allow the market to evolve and function in the private sector market without government intervention.
In Zambia, we are fighting over millie meal prices, not pasta, cake, champagne, whatever. Millie meal prices. That is a shame to us because that's our basic staple food.
In the 2022 Auditor General's report, it has been recorded that the country lost over 92 billion kwacha in uncollected taxes, a situation that needs to be addressed if the proposed 177.9 billion kwacha 2024 national budget is to be effectively implemented while expanding the revenue streams. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Police in Luanga district have detained 12 prohibited immigrants who are believed to be Somali nationals, along with 2 Zambian drivers. Police Assistant Public Relations Officer Godfrey Chilabi says 3 motor vehicles associated with a migrant smuggling syndicate have also been impounded near the Luangwa Fera and Great East Road Junction. Mr. Chilabi says alleged police officers at the Luangwa Bridge security checkpoint intercepted 3 motor vehicles en route from Eastern Province. He says among these vehicles, the officers intercepted a Toyota, and upon inspection, it was discovered to be carrying 12 suspected prohibited immigrants and was being driven by Harrison Kapila, a 27-year-old resident of Riverside in Petauke district. The Deputy Police Public Relations Officer says a Toyota Sprinter was also found abandoned at a location some distance before the checkpoint, as the driver and other immigrants had fled the vehicle prior to the officer's arrival. He said the third vehicle involved was a Toyota Harrier, which was driven by Elias Mwanza, a 26-year-old resident of Chimate compound in Petauke district. Mr. Chilabi says all the suspects have been detained in custody. In other news, the Zambia Development Agency ZDA says it has set a target in its 2022-2026 strategic plan of attracting a total of at least 36 billion United States dollars in both foreign and domestic investment. Speaking at the launch of the ZDA 2022-2026 strategic plan in Lusaka Thursday, ZDA Board Chairperson Professor Biemba Maliti says the agency has already registered investment worth 37 billion United States dollars in the third quarter of 2023, a clear sign that the set target will be suppressed by the end of 2026. Professor Maliti says the strategic plan developed is a bridge through which the economic transformation agenda of the government, as imposed in the 8th National Development Plan and ultimately the Vision 2030, will be achieved. Meanwhile, Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry representative Elvin Nasilele says it is only through effective implementation of the plan that the country will witness the positive changes that the plan promises to achieve.
It was a colorful day marred with celebrations and performances from young talented Zambians as the Zambia Development Agency ZDA launches its 2022 to 2026 strategic plan with a focus to raise a total of at least 36 billion United States dollars in both foreign and domestic investments. Speaking when he officially launched the document in Lusaka Thursday morning, ZDA Board Chairperson Biyemba Maliti says the 2022 to 2026 strategic plan also unveils the aspiration of the institution to become a world-class agency that will force a transformed and prosperous economy for Zambia.
The strategic plan we are launching has consolidated the desire and actions to be taken by the ZDA Board, management staff, and various other stakeholders whom we are very thankful for, to turn around, re-engineer and transform the ZDA to enhance its performance and corporate image. The target is to create 500,000 jobs by 2026. And as you saw in terms of the FDI, or really in terms of investment commitments, which we have already surpassed, even that target we shall surpass.
And ZDA Director General Albert Halwampa says his institution plays a very critical role in ensuring that the country moves at the required pace of investment, adding that investments worth $37 billion United States dollars have already been recorded by the third quarter of 2023.
So we need a strategic plan that will help us to compete favorably with Zimbabwe or Tanzania or Namibia. So this is what we have done at ZDA, to develop a plan that will help us compete with our neighbors in terms of promoting trade, in terms of promoting investment, in terms of business development.
With Zambia having launched so many strategic plans whose implementation have remained poor, Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry representative Elvin Nasilele says it is only through effective implementation of the plan that the country will witness the positive changes that the plan intends to achieve.
It is through effective implementation that we will witness the positive changes that this plan promises.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The government says it is committed to delivering services to all people across the country, especially to those in the rural areas. Permanent Secretary at Cabinet Office in charge of special duties, Patrick Mcheleka, says poverty is largely pronounced in rural areas because of the many challenges people face. This came to light today when Mr. Mcheleka led a delegation of senior government officials in paying a courtesy call on the Mansa Diocese Bishop, His Grace Patrick Chisanga. Meanwhile, Mansa Diocese Bishop, Reverend Patrick Chisanga, has been commended for considering the church as an important stakeholder in the governance process. Reverend Chisanga said that the involvement of the church is a clear demonstration by the government that it does not want to leave anyone behind.
However, we thought it was very important that before we proceed to Lunga, perhaps we requested to pay courtesy call on you, just to assure you that this government is very committed to deliver the services to our people, especially in the rural areas of the entire Zambia, the whole 10 provinces. You may agree with me, Gracie, that indeed poverty in Zambia is largely pronounced in rural areas because of many challenges that our people face.
What is happening and what government is doing and what government has been doing is a good summary and it touches all possible areas. And as I said, I really appreciate your visit, your courtesy to the diocese. That's a recognition of the church as one of the key stakeholders in the governance of our people, and even in the realization of the many different projects or programs that the government has. So it's clear that you don't want to leave anyone behind.
A defense witness has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that former Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga borrowed 1.3 million kwacha in 2017 to boost her business. For this and other interesting stories, to join me after the break.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palavana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
I never have this feeling in my heart.
Are you planning to marry or get married? Contact the Camnet Media team for a professional capturing of your big day in life. Let your relatives, friends, and the nation join you in celebrating your big day on television. Just at a manageable fee, Camnet Television will cover and transmit your wedding on your channel of choice. Contact the marketing department on mobile number. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
I give my love to heaven home.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We now continue with more news. The Lusaka Magistrate Court has found a pastor who is accused of defiling his granddaughter with a case to answer. Magistrate Mutinta Mwenya has ruled that the prosecution has established a prima facie case against the accused. In this case, the accused, who is also believed to be a pastor, has been charged with incest, a matter in which was reported to the police sometime in 2022. Allegations are that sometime last year, police received a report that the accused of Emersdale was allegedly defiling his granddaughter. It is alleged that school authorities had noticed that the girl was strangely quiet and did not want to interact with other pupils, and at some point she looked exhausted with red eyes. Allegations are that the child, whose mother died when she was 8 years old, was allegedly not allowed to interact much with her friends. The accused is expected to open his defense on the 15th of November 2023. Still in court news, a defense witness has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that former Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga borrowed 1.3 million kwacha in 2017 to boost her business. Joseph Piri, a Kawe businessman, was testifying in a matter in which the former Deputy Inspector General of Police Katanga is accused of being in possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. Mr. Piri, who was giving evidence on behalf of his niece, told Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chibwili that the accused borrowed about 470,000 kwacha in 2013 and 1.3 million kwacha in 2017. In his further testimony, the witness told court that he had been involved in construction works and had obtained both private and government contracts. This is in a matter in which Mrs. Katanga is facing 1 count of possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime, valued at over $2 million United States dollars and 1.5 million kwacha, contrary to Section 71 of the Forfeiture and Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010 of the laws of Zambia. It is alleged that the accused between 1st January 2017 and 6th June 2022 bought 10 hire buses valued at over 26 million kwacha, property believed to have been corruptly gained. The matter has since been adjourned to 13th December 2023. United Party for National Development spokesperson Cornelius Mwetwa says local people must be backbone of Zambia's tourism sector. Mr. Mwetwa says Zambians should take the front seat in growing the tourism sector, beginning with appreciating that we have as a country for easier and more effective marketing of our various tourism products to the world. And delegation leader Watson Lumba, serving as party treasurer General, appreciated the inspiring story of the Communist Party of China, CPC, and the dominating but inspiring power of the Great War. UPND officials were speaking to the media after climbing the second tower of the Great Wall of China as a scheduled activity of the ruling party's ongoing 10 days exchange program, courtesy of the Communist Party in China. And the CPC representative said every day thousands of Chinese people visit the Great Wall of China, which was built over 2,000 years ago as a defense wall by local empires of yesterday.
We've just climbed the Great Wall of China, and for us as Zambians, there are many takeaways from this outing. We've been able to see here that there are a lot of Chinese nationals who are coming to sight this particular view, and this is in their own country. So the takeaway lesson here is that tourism should have a backbone of local tourists, the local people being able to come through to view and appreciate what there is to showcase to the rest of the world. In Zambia, for instance, we're talking about 20 million Zambians. How many people, for instance, have been to Livingstone to view the Musotunya falls? You find that there are more foreigners who have been to our various tourist attractions than the local people. And then the local people have not had time. I think it is high time we realize that tourism is a product both for foreign and local people. And we local people should take the front seat in trying to appreciate what we have so that we are able to market it to the rest of the world. So this is a lesson for us as Zambians also to treasure our culture and heritage and those historic touristic sites that we need to preserve for onward transmission to the coming generations to be able to appreciate our heritage.
The Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA Zambia chapter has observed the need for media institutions to reshape policies that promote capacity building among journalists in the media houses. MISA Zambia Chapter Programs Officer Thomas Zulu says capacity building for journalists is important to ensure journalists are well equipped with evolving reporting techniques in the media industry. Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing development journalism training, Mr. Zulu says in order for traditional media to remain relevant, formulating strategic plans is key to equipping the journalists and promote professionalism.
That media houses embrace the habit of building the capacity of their personnel, more especially that things keep on changing every now and then. So therefore, capacity building is a necessary evil so that our reporters, our production staff are able to produce content that is in line with the needs of our audiences. So it is important that they build their capacity so that they're able to engage their audiences well. I think it also begins with the particular media organization strategic plan, editorial guidelines that they have, in terms of, more especially the strategic plan, in terms of how they are going to be like moving as an institution. Because this is going to be able to guide them on what capacity, on what kind of stuff they are looking at, and what kind of capacity they should be able to look at in terms of the trainings that they are looking at. So every media organization, it would be very helpful that they have a strategic plan, because this is a document that is going to be able to guide them in all these capacity building plans that they need.
You're watching the main news on Camnet TV. We now take our final set of commercial break, and we'll be back with international and sports news. Stay glued.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RainGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication. Those have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. And now in international news, Kenyan President William Ruto is seeking an additional 1 billion in loans from China, despite Kenya's public debt having reached 70 billion. President Ruto was one of a number of global leaders in Beijing to attend the 10th anniversary meeting of China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. The ambitious plan that aims to connect Africa, Asia and Europe through massive infrastructure and energy projects. The BRI has seen the development of several infrastructure projects in Kenya, including the Standard Gauge Railway Line, which runs from the port city of Mombasa to the Rift Valley via the capital, Nairobi. We now monitor African news.
Kenyan President William Ruto is seeking an additional $1 billion in loans from China, despite Kenya's public debt having reached $70 billion. Amid a weakening of the Kenyan shilling and high global fuel prices, an analyst at the University of Nairobi fears the situation is not sustainable.
Kenyan currency is depreciating. Our largest creditor today is China, and therefore we are paying through the nose. And most of our earnings are actually going to paying Chinese loans, and that's not going to be sustainable.
The Kenyan president is in Beijing this week for the Forum of the Belt and Road Initiative, China's ambitious global plan which has seen the development of several infrastructure projects in Kenya.
China does not pay attention to good governance practices, neither do they care about good governance practices like corruption when they are providing infrastructure facilities and interventions in Africa. That's the most worrying thing, in the sense that many countries have seen roads or infrastructure or even energy port facilities whose cost of construction leaves a lot to be desired.
With many of Kenya's Chinese loans set to mature in the current fiscal year, Ruto has taken measures to reduce government spending, but critics say he has reneged on his promises by continuing to borrow heavily. France and Nigeria have joined forces as they carry out naval exercises in the Gulf of Guinea to combat piracy and trafficking. The goal of the mission is to ensure maritime security in the area, with the French carrier Mistral beginning a 4-month mission in the Gulf alongside 5 Nigerian Navy ships.
Piracy could come in different forms. So when you are faced with that kind of challenge, you deploy different tactics. So perhaps what the French Navy have experienced in terms of these challenges or in this kind of criminalities, it might not be exactly the types we are expressing here, but it is the aggregate effect when we come together to share experiences, information on how to tackle these things that will make each country better.
The Nigerian Navy says that Nigeria faces a number of threats along its coast and joint drills are necessary to maintain security in the Gulf.
I think
the Nigerian Navy can bring us its experience in the fight against piracy and banditry on the coastal fringes. They have a great deal of experience and ships dedicated to this. So it's clear that they can bring us a wealth of experience on how to act and how to manage this coastal fringe. The exercises demonstrate a continued effort to uphold the Yaoundé Protocol, a 2013 agreement between 25 West and Central African governments to counter piracy.
And now in sports news, Sweden's match against Belgium, abandoned on Monday amid a terror alert in Brussels, will not have to be replayed, UEFA has ruled. The Euro 2024 qualifier was abandoned at halftime for security reasons with a score of 1-1. 2 Swedish nationals had been shot dead in the Belgian capital earlier on Monday. European football's governing body said the result at the halftime interval was confirmed as final. The 2 victims were in Brussels to watch their national side play Belgium, Swedish football officials said. A 3rd Sweden fan was seriously injured in the attack, which the authorities have said was a terror attack targeting Sweden and Swedish citizens. The 45-year-old man behind the attack was shot dead by police on Tuesday. Monday's game started while the gunman was still at large because Belgium authorities and police considered the stadium 5 kilometers 3 miles from the location of the shooting the safest place. That item brings us to the end of the main news, but before I go, here are the top stories making headlines in our news. The Patriotic Front accuses government of not paying private auditors. NKOMBO implores the church to refuse to be patronized by politicians. State House justifies President HICHILEMA'S absence during the National Day of Prayer. In international news, analysts criticize additional Chinese loans for Kenya. And in sports news, no replay for games abandoned in terror alert, says UEFA. We now look at our Camnet verse of the day, coming from the book of Luke 10, verse 7. Don't move around from home to home. Stay in one place, eating and drinking what they provide. Don't hesitate to accept hospitality, because those who work deserve their pay. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire Camnet News production crew, it's good night and pleasant viewing.